Again, I just want to welcome everybody. This is, we do have everybody, so you can talk, but if you can mute yourselves, that will make it easier for everybody to hear. I believe, is there a chat so people can chat if they have something they want to say? Like, congratulations.
I don't see a chat function.
You don't? Okay. All right. Then we'll have to do the old fashioned, clapping and yeah, I don't know if there's a way to use emojis or not, but anyway. Okay. So I do want to welcome.
Sorry, Mayor, there are reactions at the far right. So folks could clap by clicking on reactions.
Okay. Thank you.
If that helps.
Okay. So I do want to welcome everybody to this special meeting, and we're going to be recognizing several organizations tonight that have gone above and beyond to make our town the special place that it is. And even though we are still in the middle of the pandemic and the economic crisis, we wanted to pause for a moment and recognize some of the tremendous work that is being done here in Princeton. And everyone on this call has contributed meaningfully in some capacity to help make our community stronger and our residents safer, healthier, and more connected, whether it be by providing food for the food insecure, helping our local businesses stay afloat, helping a friend or neighbor, and making it easier for others to help their friends and their neighbors, whether it be making sure that the rent gets paid or advocating on behalf of more affordable housing in the future, whether it be keeping the community informed or enhancing access to our open spaces. Each one of you has made a difference, and we want to recognize those contributions tonight. This tradition of recognizing individuals and organizations in the community by council started back in 2015. And in the before times when council was meeting in person, we would select an individual or group to honor every month. But we put that tradition on hold back. I think we were able to give out 2 awards this year, January and February, and we put it on hold since we weren't meeting in person. We wanted to wait because there's, it would be our preference to be able to do this in person. But one of the nice things, I guess, about doing it this way is that we're doing it all in one night. And so hopefully you will be inspired by each other and maybe learn something that you didn't know about some of just the amazing work that's going on here. And, I wish we could shake your hand and give you all a hug tonight, but we're just hoping that our feelings of gratitude come across over the Zoom, because myself and the rest of council are really just truly grateful and appreciative of your efforts. So we wanted to start with honoring, oh, oops, wait, I forgot to advance this at the same time. Hold on. So here are some of our prior awardees. And food insecurity, people aren't able to see this whole thing, are they? Hold on. Food insecurity is a huge issue in Princeton, and with COVID, it made what was a big problem even worse. And the first 2 groups we're going to be recognizing tonight are groups that have really focused on food insecurity and making sure that no one is going hungry during this crisis. And I wanted to turn it over to my colleague, Councilwoman Leticia Fraga, to present these first 2 awards on behalf of council.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And it truly is my honor to have the opportunity to honor these 2 organizations that are really closely aligned in their mission, as you mentioned, addressing the issue of food insecurity here in our community. Starting with the Princeton Mobile Food Pantry, they're a grassroots organization that has operated in various forms since 2010. And what started as what has been referred to as a mini pantry inside Liliana Morenilla's purse, it has since exploded into a full-blown volunteer-led organization that is now feeding over 450 hungry families and counting in Princeton during the coronavirus pandemic. And I should explain what they meant by a mini pantry inside Liliana's purse. It started out at the school where she worked, Johnson Park, where she realized that there were children that were coming to school without a snack. During snack time, they didn't have a snack. So she started bringing snacks in her purse and to be able to give out to kids who didn't have a snack. And eventually when she had an office space, was able to store even more food. It was originally founded in response to food insecurity in the public schools. But since then, it established a partnership starting in 2017 with Mercer Street Friends Food Bank to offer a weekly pickup, sometimes at the Henry Pennell Learning Center, and other times they use the community room at Witherspoon Hall. Most recently, since the pandemic hit, they've been using space outside of McCaffrey's, and I'll go into further detail in that. So in response to the pandemic and the need to maintain safety protocols, it became a mobile pantry and shifted to bi-weekly deliveries of fresh groceries. Their primary focus is in families in Princeton, all of whom range in age, race, identity, background, and mobility. The food they deliver is fresh and culturally relevant. Princeton Mobile Food Pantry is a phenomenal all-volunteer, women-led collective. They work together to support our neighbors through various networks and in collaboration with community partners. To date, they have engaged close to 100 volunteers, ranging from age 4 to senior citizens. And most recently, the pantry has partnered with McCaffrey's Food Market to be able to provide fresh groceries such as proteins and produce. Other community partners that they wish to thank, because it truly is a collaborative effort community-wide. They've gotten support from Beacon, which is the Black Educators Affirming Coalition Opportunities and Network, the Cherry Blow Dry Bar, Community Park Johnson Park, Riverside, Littlebrook, and PUMS School Gardens, Cornerstone Community Kitchen, Ecclesia, Everwipe, Farminary at Princeton Theological Seminary, Honeybrook Organic Farm, I Support the Girls, Mercer Street Friends Food Bank, the Morven Museum and Garden, Share My Meals, Small World Coffee, the Bagel Nook, the Bag Project, the Chinese Christian Community, the Golden Lotus Project, and the Jewish Center at Princeton. Even pre-pandemic, many people who are served by the pantry have been juggling a lot in their lives. They work multiple jobs that lack job protection, and they struggle to make Princeton rents so they can keep a roof over their family's head. And they often experience food insecurity. With the pandemic, a lot of people's lives have become even more fragile, and the list of families who has needed assistance has grown. Pre-pandemic, the Princeton Mobile Food Pantry was already filling a critical need, and during the pandemic, they have truly stepped up to ensure our families will have food at their tables. Thank you, muchísimas gracias to the Princeton Mobile Food Pantry and their volunteers. You have truly made a difference. Clap, clap. I will do that myself. There we go. Next, I have the honor of honoring and celebrating Share My Meals. Sometime in 2019, the founders of Share My Meals met at the Blue Bears Cafe to talk about what was at the time a preliminary idea to alleviate hunger by recovering, repurposing, and distributing meals from corporate cafeterias and universities. I actually remember, and I think I saw Melissa from Human Services on this call as well. I remember my first introduction to the founder was at when they reached out to wanting to talk to our health officer to learn about what they needed to do in order to be able to distribute the food safely. And I was really very intrigued by their idea and their mission. In early 2020, they incorporated their nonprofit organization and they launched their first Waste Watcher program in collaboration with the Tiger Inn, which is one of the eating clubs of Princeton University. For 2 months, they delivered 100 healthy meals per week to 23 families in Princeton. The model was very sustainable. They were using non-disposable trays that fit meals for 5 people. One of the board members was picking them up and delivering them to the families who had asked to be part of the program. At the same time, the members started using their personal networks to raise awareness about their work and were well on their way to expanding the Waste Watcher program. Then the pandemic hit. Students and employees started working remotely, and the cafeterias that were an essential part of the program closed indefinitely. The COVID pandemic hit everyone by surprise, including many of our businesses, local businesses. Share My Meals were contacted early on by restaurants and some other food suppliers who offered to donate their food inventory that they weren't going to be using. Share My Meals were grateful for the donations, but they also understood that it wouldn't last and so decided to adjust their operations. They launched their COVID-19 program. They reached out to local restaurants who, like others, were struggling to stay open. These restaurants included Mezzaluna and the Meeting House, and then they added Trattoria Procaccini and ultimately Christine's to their program. The restaurants agreed to cook for Share My Meals at their minimum cost that would allow the owner to cover their own costs, but at the same time, the restaurants were able to maintain their staff employed. Share My Meals has been raising funds to pay the salary of restaurant employees who cook for the charity. This has helped to provide work for employees who may otherwise be laid off during the quarantine, while also producing food for those in need. From mid-March to present, Share My Meals has delivered more than 35,000 healthy meals from these 4 restaurants to more than 100 families, which is more than 500 people, individuals living in Princeton. From time to time, they also deliver meals to families who had to quarantine because someone in their household had tested positive for COVID. Thankfully, it did not become necessary to do that in a large scale, but for those families who were helped by Share My Meals, it made all the difference. In addition to the meal delivery programs, Share My Meals has also created an inclusion program which aims to incorporate recently unemployed individuals into their operations. And by hiring them to deliver food and help with administrative tasks, Share My Meals hopes to provide them with opportunities that will hopefully sustain them until they can return to work. Thank you, Share My Meals, to members of your boards, to your volunteers, and to the restaurants you partner with to meet the needs of our community. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. That's it.
I'm just trying to struggle with my tech here. Thank you. And thank you to both of those groups. Next, I want to turn it over to Councilwoman Michelle Perrin-Lambros to present the next 2 awards.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. This is a wonderful program, and appreciate your pulling this together. The first award we say is I'm going to thank the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood Kindness Project, and I think by now, most of you who are in town shopping in McCaffrey's have noticed those brown bag displays in McCaffrey's this past months. And hopefully many of you have been purchasing them and making these donations. The founder of this is a real powerhouse. Her creativity and energy is inspiring, and that's Blair Miller. She's brought our community together to help those less fortunate than us. She's there here in the middle of the photo there. And she's really pulled this together beautifully. How it works with the brown bags is that you purchase them at the store and then you contribute them and they go to a neighboring need. In addition to McCaffrey's being involved, she's gotten many of the local restaurants have also participated in the project. And then recently, just, a few weeks ago, it seems like, she was looking to set up some pop-up stores. And there are 3 of them now that she's set up for the holidays. She has one at 14 South Tulane, one at the shopping center, and there's another one on Palmer Square where Kitchen Capers used to be. And those pop-up stores are curbside pickup areas where she has put together and, thinking of helping those in need. And she's also pulling together and helping the retailers and restaurants by having themed baskets, gift baskets that go to, so it helps to, sell the products, but she's also, you can do a gift for purchase and then make that a donation. So they have pre-packaged curated gift baskets for local, and these local goods could be for your friends, family, neighbors, where you can shop safely. She has everything online at the website, and I'm going to give a plug for the website. It's mrrogersneighbors.com, and it's just wonderful what she's put together. She also has the free store, which is over at the on 170 Witherspoon Street at the Mount Pisgah Church. So it's a great program, and you can see all the volunteers. I won't even name everyone, but it's just really fabulous what she's put together. So we just thank you so much, Blair Miller, and we look for more to come. She's just done a tremendous job during COVID, helping those in need. So thank you, and thank you, Mayor. Okay, so next, this is a program that came from really pulling together. Mayor Lempert and I and Kristen Applegate put our heads together and really wanted to do something to help with a grant program to help our small business community, and had many people step up. So the advisory committee that was formed to create the Princeton Small Business Resiliency Fund included Kristen Applegate, Rachel Stark from Stark and Stark, Jeff Vega from the Princeton Community Foundation, and Peter Crowley from the Princeton Regional Mercer Chamber of Commerce. With their help and guidance, we were able to get the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber Foundation and their board, who stepped up and just put together this tremendous effort. They formed a grant review committee that consisted of the chair, which is Chip Cherry, John Godecki, Peter Dawson, Bernie Miller, Lance Liverman, Esther Tanis, Hillary Spivak, Mara Franceschi, Jigna Rao, Elizabeth Wagner, and Casey Recca. What they pulled together is just really amazing. We started with a very generous donation from the university of an initial $250,000. And then the university put out a challenge that they would put another $100,000 in a matching fund, which the advisory committee, along with the foundation board, raised for a grand total of over $450,000, which has now gone out to the local businesses all in Princeton, all of our small businesses. We had over 100 applications during 2 rounds of grant applications, and there were awarded 84 grants of $5,000. These grants were used to help offset COVID-related expenses such as cleaning, sanitation supplies, telecom, internet connectivity, cashless payment systems, website adaptions, and retrofitting or remodeling the retail spaces as you've seen. We also helped with marketing and PR activities that were related to COVID responses, as well as expenditures to provide emergency employee assistance with childcare expenses. So I'd just like to say on behalf of Mayor Lempert and the entire council, we'd really like to thank all the members of this grant review committee and the advisory board for all the hard work that went into helping these businesses cope during the crisis. I'd like to close this with quoting the words of one of the grant recipients, our local Kathy Klockenbring from Gem and Krebs. Kathy very eloquently said, we are so grateful for the support from the Business Resiliency Fund and the Princeton community. Their efforts to support our small businesses in these challenging times speaks to how it truly takes a village to keep us all strong. Thank you all for your belief in our mission and special community. We will get through this together and only be stronger. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Michelle, and thanks to all the volunteers you just recognized. Next, I want to ask Council President David Cohen to present the next award.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neighborhood Buddy Initiative was conceived in 2017 as an all-purpose supplemental response to government services in times of emergency. When the power goes out, when streets are closed due to flooding or downed trees, when snow-covered roads are impassable, or a heat wave endangers our residents who lack air conditioning, our first responders are so busy answering calls for help, who can check on vulnerable residents who may be in need of assistance but unable to reach out. The idea was to ask neighbors to take on that role, establishing a relationship with a buddy during good times, so their outreach would be expected and welcome in bad times. When COVID struck, the Board of Health reached out to suggest that this was a time to kick the program into high gear. Buddies would be able to offer help with shopping, share information about the latest best practices for COVID safety, and help combat the social isolation that inevitably follows from sheltering in place. We began an urgent process of outreach through the Human Services Department, Princeton Senior Resource Center, and old-fashioned boots on the ground, distributing flyers in many neighborhoods promoting the program. We soon had a list of 100 volunteers offering to support their neighbors. These are the names you see on the slide in front of you. Not every volunteer was paired with a buddy because the number of support requests was significantly smaller than the outpouring of assistance. But we've heard many stories of rewarding relationships established and valuable services rendered, and every volunteer deserves recognition for their generosity of spirit and willingness to help. We hope to continue to grow the program even once the pandemic has passed, because we know there will be other future crises where residents will need support from their neighbors. Please contact us through Access Princeton if you'd like to get involved.
Thank you very much. And next, I'd like to ask Councilwoman Mia Sachs to present the recognition to another group that is working on neighbor-to-neighbor connections support. Is Councilman Sachs on the phone?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Hello?
We can hear you.
Go ahead.
So I'm presenting the award to Princeton Mutual Aid, which got its start in March 2020, when a small group of people came together in the wake of the COVID pandemic. Their most pressing concern was the economic fallout impacting Princeton's most vulnerable, especially day laborers and service workers. PMA organized itself around the motto, solidarity, not charity, and work to build bridges between those in need and others able to help. Today, just 1 year later, over 400 volunteers participate in weekly PMA assistance programs. Bi-weekly distribution programs with Unidad Latina and Acción New Jersey and the Witherspoon Street Presbyterian Church provide food and resources to local residents in need throughout the community. PMA has also started a local civics digest and organized invaluable and sustained support to the municipality and to the council in particular for affordable housing ordinances and for the affordable housing program in general. PMA has hosted community forums with members of the municipality and the mayor and have helped to coordinate anti-racist and immigrant support solidarity campaigns in the Mercer County region. Additionally, they provide bike repair services, help residents to negotiate utility bills, offer a jobs board that distributes local listings, and provide monetary aid in cases of acute need. Their partnerships with local small businesses, including Small World Coffee and Labyrinth Books in particular, have enabled them to host fundraisers which benefit both needy residents and support the businesses as well during COVID. I know it's an overused quote, but it really applies to PMA, which is never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. And for sure, PMA has changed Princeton in this very short time.
Thanks, Mia, and thanks to all the volunteers that are part of Princeton Mutual Aid. And the next award is going to be presented by Councilwoman Eve Neergang.
Thank you, Mayor. The goal of PPAG, the Princeton Progressive Action Group, is to ensure the continuation of Princeton's rich legacy of social and economic diversity in an environmentally sustainable town. PPAG is composed of Princetonians who have joined together to advocate for municipal policies that will ensure that Princeton is a place where access to opportunity is shared fairly by residents who are socially, racially, and economically diverse. PPAG advocates in several different policy areas to make Princeton better for people of all ages and income levels. This year, they've been very active on housing issues, supporting and helping to craft an accessory dwelling unit ordinance and working with the municipality to develop a more progressive affordable housing overlay as part of our affordable housing plan. They've supported redesign projects on Witherspoon Street, Hamilton Avenue, and beyond that prioritize pedestrian and bicycle access and promote safe streets for people of all ages and for all means of transport beyond single occupancy vehicles. They've emphasized services that support learning, recreation, and community engagement, such as hosting forums for the Board of Ed and council candidates where participants can ask tough questions about issues confronting those bodies. And they've also issued position papers on topics such as parking, the central business district, and housing affordability. Finally, they've promoted economic incentives that support local employment and developing a thriving and sustainable local business community. So PPAG, thank you very much for all your work and look forward to seeing what you're doing in the future.
Thank you. Next, I wanted to ask Council President Cohen to come back and present the next award.
Thanks, Mayor. The Coronavirus Emergency Relief Fund, CERF, was one of our earliest partners in helping to address the needs of the most vulnerable in our community at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Hosted by the Princeton Children's Fund website and constituted as a public-private partnership to focus on combating housing insecurity due to COVID-related financial hardship, this group of committed volunteers and professionals sprang into action, quickly raising a healthy endowment with generous donations from Princeton University, nonprofit organizations, and private individuals to provide rental assistance to all who experienced loss of income and had nowhere else to turn. The volunteers listed on this page spent countless hours processing applications from residents in need, negotiating with landlords to share the burden and ensure that recipients would not only retain their housing, but also would be protected from a large debt burden of unpaid rent and from future eviction proceedings. They also processed payments and ensured that utility bills and other housing-related expenses were rendered in a timely fashion, extending through July when the initial funds raised were ultimately depleted. While the need continues, this group, with their quick response, filled a crucial role at a time when no one else was ready to do so. The benefits to the recipients went well beyond simple physical shelter. They included a tremendous reduction in stress associated with worry for the future in an uncertain time. We are deeply in debt to SURF for your generous service to the community in time of need.
Thank you. And the next recognition is also for a group that's working on housing stability and providing rental assistance. And I'd like to ask Councilman Dwayne Williamson to present this recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. Housing Initiatives of Princeton is a charitable trust, or Housing Initiatives of Princeton Charitable Trust, or just HIP for short, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 2001 that began assisting area families in 2004. HIP helps low-income working families to stay and thrive in the community through generous support from businesses, individuals, partner congregations, agencies, and foundations. A community-based not-for-profit, HIP manages several homes in the Princeton area and rents them at affordable rates to local families in need. HIP is now an interfaith and community-based transitional housing organization whose members are concerned about homelessness and the unmet need for affordable and low-income housing in Princeton, which have only been exacerbated by the COVID pandemic. Families facing homelessness are generally referred to HIP by social services agencies, or they contact HIP during a general search of affordable housing options. HIP is an all-volunteer organization. It has always been an organization of neighbors helping neighbors. I'm proud to say that in order to meet the challenges that low-income working families face, they rely on lots of volunteer support to do this work. This is a remarkable community. And I'm happy to say that you see among the volunteers here, we also have ones who aren't mentioned, such as the many attorneys who volunteer along with Judge Phil Karchman and Judge Debbie Horitz to develop the Princeton Tenant Landlord Mediation Program. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is, actually, I think Councilman Williamson, you're up for presenting this next award also.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Mayor. Okay, the PrincetonCovidorg, Princeton Public Libraries web team. At the start of the COVID outbreak in Princeton back in March of this year, we knew we needed a way to communicate accurate information to the public in a quickly changing environment. The library volunteered to help, and essentially overnight, the library's PrincetonCovid.org team created the framework for the PrincetonCovid.org website, which has kept the Princeton community informed and connected throughout the pandemic. The site contains the latest information and updates from the Princeton Health Department, including vaccine and testing information and health guidance. Oh, I'm sorry. There is also, I'm hearing this background because I thought someone was going to say something. There is also information about where to find help, whether for food, housing, mental health support, or other assistance. The site also has information for people who are looking to donate or to volunteer to help connect them to local organizations. And the site also has links to tons of resources to help with remote work and school. It also has a huge amount of links for fun things to do at home for all ages and interests, crafts, projects, musical performances, online lectures, recipes, and much more. At a time when access to information has been critical, the library team provided an essential community service, even when the library building itself was closed. Thanks, Princeton COVID library team.
Thank you. Now I think we're almost at the end of our program. We have 2 more awards. The next one is the Friends of Herontown Woods, and I'd like to ask Councilwoman Eve Niedergang to present this award.
Me is doing this one.
Oh, it's me doing this one?
I'm
Sorry,
next.
I wrote down the wrong one.
That's okay.
Councilwoman Mia Sachs, if you can
Yeah.
present this one.
Okay. The Friends of Herontown Woods is a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 2013 and committed to actively restoring the trails, history, and flora of Herontown Woods. Their goal is to honor the extraordinary legacy of Oswald and Elizabeth Veblen, who left this land, the very first nature preserve in Princeton, their house, their cottage, and farmstead in the public trust. I was recently reminded of a quote by John Muir. Many of the the recipients of awards tonight have been local groups that mobilize to provide food and resources for the body. And so I was reminded of this quote from John Muir, which says, everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to pray in and play in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul. And in this difficult time of COVID, the Friends of Herontown Woods have provided the woods for residents to seek solace and serenity in the trails, which are tended daily by volunteers from the Friends. Highlights from this past year were also the signing of a 5-year lease with the town to begin rehabilitating the Veblen House and Cottage, major trail improvements, and the rapid evolution of the Princeton Botanical Art Garden into a favorite destination where families, kids, and adults can learn about and engage in creative ways with nature. The Friends also hosted various events next to Veblen House, including a rescue exercise with Princeton First Aid and Rescue, and 2 celebratory, socially distanced jazz parties. Through the Friends' ongoing improvement of trails, their creation of an art garden, and by making the Veblen House and Cottage engaging and educational destinations, they are transforming a neglected resource into a place where people of all ages can come, explore, enjoy, and learn from Princeton's nature and culture. Thank you, Friends.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful tribute also. All right, and then the final award tonight is for another group that's helping to enhance our access to open spaces. And now I want to ask Councilwoman Eve Niedergang to present this final award tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councilwoman Sachs for her eloquent recognition of the necessity of having open spaces for all of us to be refreshed and rejuvenated in. And my words are not quite as eloquent as hers, so it's a little humbling to follow, but I'll do the best that I can. We'd like to recognize the work of a group of more than 100 Princeton high school students, past and present, who over the last 6 years have put in 2,000 plus hours creating and maintaining trails in a recently created 55-acre forest reserve, the Ridgeview Woods. These volunteers have removed invasive species, lined trails with logs, and cleared streams of debris. But the factual description doesn't really do this magical place justice. Trish Shanley, who mentors these students and guides their work, took the time to give me a personal tour of this enchanting place, and I was very impressed. I'm not unfamiliar with beautiful trails, but this is something special, featuring places with whimsical names, decorated with natural objects, and in the words of one volunteer, showing a, quote, meticulously crafted, hand-woven beauty, end quote, that is fairy tale-like in its impact on all who visit. I'd urge all of you in attendance to take the time to visit these woods. It's really an extraordinary place, something very, very special. Trish has described this as an oasis in this time of pandemic, darkness, and environmental devastation, and it really does feel that way. In closing, I just want to highlight the Ridgeview Wood Conservancy's mission statement, which really captures the environmental justice that is at the heart of this organization. The goals are to conserve vulnerable forests, wetlands, and cultural and historic sites, educate youth and the public to value, protect, and steward those resources, encourage equitable access to nature for underserved populations, and promote Princeton's Emerald Necklace, a ring of forest parks to support health, habitat, and climate resilience. So thank you to all the volunteers. I hope we have all the names. And for those who aren't on there, we all appreciate what you do. So thank you very much.
All right, that concludes our program tonight. And I just wanted to, again, thank everybody for all of your work. We're heading into what is likely going to be a really difficult several months. And I hope that tonight we can gain strength and inspiration from each other and the incredible work that's being done in this community and the creativity and generosity. I know it's lifted me on some of my darker days over the past year. So I just want to thank all of you, and next year in person. So have a really happy holidays, and thank you all so much for what you do for our community.
We have one quick announcement before you go.
Okay.
So on the 30th, December 30th, we're going to have a tribute to Mayor Lempert. And so I hope you will all come out to thank her for what she's done for the community over the last 8 years. And she spent a lot of work during her time in office in cultivating social activism and community engagement. And I think, tonight it's just part of the, it's just the icing on the cake in terms of how much she's done for the community. So I hope everyone will come out on the 30th and honor her.
Thank you.
Don't look so embarrassed, Liz.
Okay. All right. And then I think, again, I just want to thank everybody for tonight. And I think since it's a formal meeting, we need to have a motion to adjourn. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved or seconded, whichever it is.
Okay, so I think Ms. Fraga moved, and I think Ms. Niedergang seconded. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye. But first, muchísimas gracias to all our community partners.
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night. Bye.
Bye.